Hi, Leo and Leo Rising. Welcome to your March 2016 reading. I hope that everybody is doing great. And this morning, I got a very clear message for your sign in particular. While I was practicing yoga, I was thinking it's really about taking things apart. This is what Leo needs to hear this month. And I sort of got a sign of like brick by brick removing or sort of taking a wall down. And so deconstruct is your word. And the cool thing with this versus destroy, which is a much more active and somewhat more chaotic word, with deconstruct, it's a mindful dissolving or removal of an obstacle. It can also be about going to the center of something and finding the truth to it. So a lot of times we construct a reality around us. We construct a wall, we create boundaries that don't necessarily need to exist. When you deconstruct, you're preserving the materials and the lessons without blowing up a bridge, basically. So you could still go back to where you came from. So it's a better way to sort of learn without having to, like no trial by fire is what I'm getting at. So let's take a look at, I'm using Archangel Michael deck here. I want to see if there's some guidance here with your Catalyst card. And the Catalyst card is really how to ignite and get started on that journey of deconstruction. So I want to see what this Oracle deck can bring through to you so that you're doing it in a way that is careful, thoughtful, but still bringing you towards the desired end. So, okay. Innocence. What I get with this, two meanings. The first is to assume the best of others. It's often hard to do that. We all get defensive from time to time, myself included. Nobody's perfect. And so this is assuming that people's intentions are coming from a good place, even if their execution or their communication of their intention might leave something to be desired. It's also saying that the reason you constructed some of these realities or some of these boundaries or barriers around yourself was to protect yourself. So letting go of the fear and knowing that you have to start to open up for opportunities to come in, because if you close off, then you may remain innocent and protected, but you're not going to expand, meet new people, experience new things. So assume the best of others, and then also take a risk and put yourself out there. If you are indeed sort of innocent, and there's nothing to fear about showing who you are to the world. Okay, so that's basically the message that came through from the Catalyst. But what I see with deconstruct is it will also take some time. I saw one brick at a time, so take it a day at a time. For some of you, you could be deconstructing a habit, a way of thinking, and that takes a long time. So don't expect it to change overnight. It might have taken, a decade to get where you're at. So give yourself time, be kind to yourself, and that's the best way to start. Let me shuffle this one more time because that wasn't the best shuffle. These are great cards, but yeah, sometimes they stick. Okay, now let's see what's going to be channeled through the cards. And right off the bat, I'm getting a loyalty issue at the center. So that's possibly where the innocence came up as well. And like I said, assuming the best of yourself and others. Major change is happening for you this month. Major. Even if you are just removing that first brick, what I'm getting is that it's going to be a process that you can't stop. So, central card is this seven of Swords here, and with the Seven of Swords, the word loyalty, trust came into mind immediately. A lot of times there are people that are acting sort of sly or cunning. So, sorry about that. A lot of times it may lead to issues where, again, if you've been disappointed in the past, if someone has gotten the better of you, you're afraid to kind of go out there again. This is one person is what I'm getting when I read this, and you can't base everything off of that. Judgment is crossing this. Judgment, and then the crowning card being the World, and then your sort of ego position where your mind is right now, Wheel of Fortune reversed. This reads to me in no uncertain terms, major change. The World card showing me a major end and beginning. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse showing me that it's overdue. the Judgment card over top of this loyalty issue, showing me that basically it's time now to either release judgments, to make a decision, if nothing else, and move forward. And when I'm looking here at the Five of Cups, understanding that whatever your sort of trade-off is, whatever it is that you have to sacrifice, you're actually left with something that's stronger, and you still have reserves. Emotionally, this might be difficult, but you have to push through this. We have the King of Swords here in the near future, showing me that execution's needed. This is a great time for sharing your thoughts, your words. Also, for those of you involved in any sort of divorce, lawsuit, or any sort of litigation, I see an end coming pretty quickly to it, but it may not be exactly what you'd like, because hopes and fears, we have the Three of Swords. When I see the recent past, I see the Five of Cups. Neither of these are overly happy cards. This one, in fact, shows disappointment. Some of you feel like you actually are walking on eggshells here. When I see the Four of Cups, this is a card of compromise. This one is a card where you're mourning what's lost, but you're eventually, by the end of this month, going to get to the point where you can either embrace what's left, or you can decide to just think, I'm never going to be able to deal with this. I see a hidden blessing coming through for you through basically the resolution of whatever disagreement or lack of harmony is going on in your life. It's going to come to a head, I would say, the first week of the month, first or second week of the month. And then I see things shifting rapidly. For some of you, that's going to involve possibly a trip. We see here with the Six of Swords, or separation, like I said, if it's a relationship. So let's just quickly look at all of the cards, and then I'll expand the forecast. But for those of you that are single, there is a potential of a King of Swords coming through. This would be a strong air sign, a Gemini, a Libra, or an Aquarius, usually darker hair, darker eyes. Great, again, usually great with communication, but that's not always the case. It is upright. That shows me that this looks like a positive match for you if that's the case. In the deep past, I see the High Priestess, something I forgot to mention at the beginning. So a lot of the issues that you're facing right now are perhaps because you didn't listen to yourself, or because you let emotions sort of swing the tide. So if you're to enter in any relationship this month, it's really important for you to resolve whatever this presenting issue is at the beginning of the month. And with the World and the Six of Swords, I do see sort of a larger global or travel issue that might be a part of this. So I would say clean up your life before you sort of get into any relationships this month, because in the hopes and fears, we have the Three of Swords. So I want you to be careful. It could be tricky this month, okay? But what is good, and what I would pay attention to, is all things regarding money and work. We have Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and even with the reversal of this card, it's still reading as positive to me, because a change is ready to happen and needs to happen. I have the Devil in reverse, showing me this is the area that you fear the most and you need to pay the most attention to. Interesting that this Devil card is actually a big eye, and what we look at when we're watching the person here is basically a duality, or trying to make everyone happy could have been what got you in this situation. This person's sort of two-faced when we look at the card. So be very clear on your own intentions, on your own sense of integrity. And if you can't believe or trust yourself, nobody else can. You need to open up your eyes, and you need to really take a look at work, finance, why you're there, if it still feels good, and know that if it doesn't, the way to happiness, the way to love, actually, is to make a massive change. So the World card, big beginnings, big endings, and I have a feeling that April will be much better if you work through that. So you've got a little bit of work to do this month, but overall, it's not too bad. We got the Devil as a clarifying card for the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, which means don't fight the obvious when it comes to certain things that are starting to happen. If someone tries to break up with you, this is a month where you want to let that happen. That's the universe sending you a blessing and helping you get away from something. If you're given the pink slip, if you're getting a feeling like it's time to move on from something, go with it, because it's going to open up new and better potential in the long run. Even if that means moving to a new apartment, a new city. I do see travel, I do see shift, I do see a shift of location. This might be something that actually comes down, 5 or 6 months from now, but it's starting, remember, brick by brick. So this month there'll be a very big keystone that is sort of removed from your support columns, and then things are going to start to more easily come apart after that. It's usually making that first move that's the toughest. Okay, let's expand your forecast, and we can hopefully get a little bit more information in each sector. We'll start first with your health and well-being, I should say. This includes your mental state of being, your physical state of being, and anything that's involving sort of like chemical, food, blood, etc. So let's just see what's going on with health. Okay. There is a sense that some of you are unable to change something about yourself because we have helpless and hopeless. I'm going to say that this is not a true sort of, what's the best word that I can use? This isn't a true view of the situation, because when I look at the King of Swords card here, this shows me that what's really happening is a fear of action. And also with the World card here, a fear to sort, and you see these two are very interesting because the world is about the unknown sometimes, and asserting your independence and taking a step out there. And what I see with this card, which is showing a child that is a little bit unnerved or unready for what's coming, and it's also symbolic of strength, is that you need to have that, you need to conjure up the inner strength within and get out there and just sort of start your own journey. So the helplessness and the hopelessness that you fear is an illusion, and I want that to be one of the things that you deconstruct. This will help it's really more in your mind this month. Your health seems pretty good. I will say that one thing I want you to be careful of is anything that's going to sort of exacerbate or increase your blood pressure, and also just be cognizant of cholesterol levels. Whenever I see the heart, I think basically blood chemistry in particular, and also blood pressure. So be really careful and make sure that you are getting enough physical exercise. So I want you to think heart health first. And if you have a history of heart disease or issues, it's a good time to get a checkup and just make sure that your diet's on track, that your own blood chemistry is where it should be, okay? But overall, you're all right. But that's the one thing that sort of came through is mind over matter, and then take special care of your heart this month. Now let's take a look at wealth and abundance, knowing that wealth isn't just money, but it also is opportunity. So let's see what's coming through within your wealth sector. Discipline. Okay, so the good news here is I didn't get a lot of cards except Wheel of Fortune in reverse showing me money situation. So what I think with this, again, I viewed it as a potential positive, is that you have enough, but you're just maybe not, you're not focusing it in the right way. So this means, for instance, being much more on a budget than you might be used to. So sit down, take a look at what you're bringing in as far as money and money goes, income, whatever you have sort of in investments, and then what you're putting out each month. And it needs to balance out, and preferably you need to be saving more than you're spending. So discipline, that's your key. You have enough, you just may not be doing a good enough job with it. And if you don't have enough, then you have to just get out there and find something new. And remember, with this King of Swords, you're the one that has to be the agent of your own change. A job won't come to you, the bills won't pay themselves off. You've got to go out there and do it, okay? But nothing negative, really. It's just about self-empowerment, really. Okay, now let's take a look at love and relationships, knowing that, again, love doesn't always mean intimate relationships. It also can mean just friendships and work opportunities as well. So for love, I'm getting that particularly in the issue that we were looking at the center, you're seeing it correctly. So, and we're looking at, this is Horus here too. So again, I'm getting endings and beginnings here, but for some of you, there's a need to separate, to divorce. Very rarely would I see this card as a decision to get married, but I see contracts either ending or beginning this month. So if that's a necessity, whether it's in work or it's in love, you pretty much already know what you need to do. You just need to do it. And that's what this card is stating, okay? It's also showing me that one full moon is what you need to sort of bring balance to your love life. So we're really looking at April for being a much better time for you to date. Also pay very special attention to the dates of the full and the new moons, making sure that you're taking special care on the full moons and that you're starting something positive, a new cycle on the new moons. Okay, now let's take a look at what's coming through for destiny, which includes opportunity, which includes sort of where you really should be focusing and headed. This is going to be much like your catalyst card, something that can bring you closer to what your soul wants, not just what your ego wants. And this is a month to ask for help, to lean on friends. And this card to me is screaming like throat chakra. So it's about verbal communication, and verbal communication with compassion and with a sense of strength. So because we have beautiful heart color here, and then also I'm seeing third chakra. So mostly about the words, how you speak to other people, and that you are actually not at all helpless or hopeless unless you deem yourself that. The only way to be cursed is to curse yourself. The only way to be helped is to ask for help or to reach out for it. And so what I'm seeing here, you should feel free to, if it's a financial situation that you've gotten yourself into, ask for help. If it's a love situation, talk to a friend, speak to a therapist, talk to a coach, whatever. But try to take a step in that right direction, remembering that everything this month boils down to deconstruction. So let's sum it up. There was a lot of information that came through, and I want to make sure you got it all. Your first two cards that we covered were deconstructing. Basically a careful, thoughtful, mindful disassembly of your current situation, knowing that you possibly become too stuck or rooted in a situation, and that part of it is that you need to start to assume the best of others. We have this judgment card, and then we also have an innocent card. So I will put two and two together here. I'll say that for some of you that are in a court case, it could bode well for you this month as well. But on a larger, less sort of face value, and more intuitive approach, what I would say is assume the best and allow others to sort of demonstrate their own judgment towards you without taking that on as your own. You don't need that baggage. As we look at your month, again, center card showing me issues with trust, major sort of changes coming through, whether you're ready or not, they're going to happen. I see that with the World and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. With the reversal here, what I'm really getting is that you need to be more flexible. With the Devil as a clarifying card, you need to pay attention to details, and don't be afraid of looking at your fear like face on. Be very clear as well in the way you're communicating, because you don't want to appear to have like a two-faced approach. You need to be loyal. You need to have, your word is all you have at the end of the day. So make sure it's good. For your overarching health, wealth, love, and destiny expanded forecast, you can't see all the cards, but I'll try to, there we go. I'll just let the tips come through here. You're absolutely not hopeless. This is a fallacy. So I want you to move forward fearlessly. And what's going to help you with this is if you bring the other parts of your life into order. So being more disciplined with finance and work, making that decision that might be difficult, starting to realize that your own judgment is what you need to pay attention to. This is what probably got you in your current sort of pickle, and you can get out of this challenging situation by just listening to your intuition. Being really clear, kind, and also unafraid to ask for assistance in your life. All of this is going to help you realize that, in fact, a lot of help is there, and hope is something that really is about how you approach something. You can look at as a quote-unquote disappointment as a learning opportunity, as a teaching opportunity, or you can look at it as a personal affront on something that you've done. So why take it personally? It's much easier and much more constructive to look at it as, thank you so much for that opportunity. Now I'm going to move forward and make sure I don't make that same decision again. Don't even call it a mistake. We can get stuck on one thing in the past, or we can decide to really learn from it and move forward. And for you, that's what my final message is to look forward, not back. this tortured individual is tortured because they can't focus on one direction. They're beating themselves up over the past. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I always, as I'm doing this, I learn from the cards as well. And that last message is really key, to forgive and to project what you want to be, and to model the behavior that you want for others. So a really nice, powerful ending statement for you this month. Okay. If you ever want to have a personal reading, you can schedule one. You can book one through my site. I'll post a link in the corner, and you can look at rates and availability for that. If you'd like to stay in touch, I have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also social network presence, as well as a newsletter. The newsletter is great to see when anything's posted on any of those, so I highly recommend that you subscribe to that. And I'll put links here on somewhere here, or the cards if you're on a mobile device. Otherwise, I wish you all a really pleasant month, and I'll see you again very soon. Please keep up the likes, the subscribes, and the comments as well. It really does help encourage me. Satnam, I wish you the best. Have a wonderful, wonderful month. Take care.